morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning, Kathy. Good
morning.
morning, Roman. How are you doing, everybody?
Yeah, well, this has just been a fantastic week, fantastic week, and I wanted to. Today, we're going to be talking about uh, the truth about animal rescues. Now, this is a subject that I'm sure a lot of you know about, or you may have been involved with animal rescues, but for the most part, people don't know what really happens in a community. And it's really sad in a lot of cases, and it's really good in a lot of cases. It depends on the community. There are some rescues that end up getting very involved with other rescues so that they can work together and it's very cohesive and they're working with the shelters and they're working with people in the community. And then there are those that just don't comply with that and they fight amongst themselves. So today we're going to talk about why does that happen as soon as Roman comes back, because we lost him for a second
Oh, I'm almost there.
We can hear you. That's the good
yeah.
point.
But I do want to address that today we did post earlier in the week, or I think it was the end of last week. We posted about a dog named Biscuit that came from an organization called From the Heart Animal Rescue here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And in that, they talk about a dog that they believe was mistreated, and I can't really go into the detail of it. And they blamed another rescue in the area, and the shelter was involved. So because of the fact that the Dog Connection strongly supports social media accountability and validation and making certain that the stories are true, because we support that, we invited them to be on the show so that we could talk about it together. And let's see if we couldn't bring these two rescue organizations together. The shelter itself did not respond, nor did the friends of the Heart. They did not respond either during that time. And we were prepared to have the accused rescue be on the show, but I guess it escalated to such an extent, folks, that I guess legal action is now going on. So we've been contacted by the attorneys telling us that we should not pursue this particular avenue. So we will not be talking about. Except maybe Charlie is. So this is Biscuit. We're not going to talk about her, but just know that she is okay and everything is doing well. So that's really about it. And good morning, Dale. Good morning. So normally we go about a good dog day and then we'll go into Ask Roman. But today we're going to go a little bit different, and we're just going to talk about why rescues don't get along. And Roman, of course, has had a lot of experience. And I know, Gaetan, you haven't, but you have been involved with controversy. And when there's controversy, not you personally, but you know what it's like to be involved with controversy. And it takes a certain type. Oh, my God, I'm sorry.
If we understand the dog speech, Charlie is talking about our issue today, and he's protesting mistreatment of dog in shelter. That's what he's saying to us.
Yeah. You know what happens? It always seems as though whenever I'm going to do a show, there's a gazillion people around. So that's really what it is. So with the controversy of the shelters, we have this issue where I don't really get it, because if you are there for the purpose of bringing people together, or bringing a dog to safety, or a cat to safety, or any animal to safety, it takes a village, it takes a team, it takes people working together. So I really, out of all the years I've been, I've run a shelter. I ran Save a Pet in Illinois. I've actually run a foster network, and then I've also run a rescue. So I know all three, and I've never, ever, ever run into a problem where we weren't working together with another rescue or shelter or foster in the area, because there are many times you need help You can't do it alone. It's a difficult thing to be a rescue. It's difficult to run a shelter, and it's difficult to be a foster parent. So when you don't have a way to coordinate and work with all of them together, why does this problem occur? I still to this day do not understand. The only thing that I can possibly think of is that it's about if you are a true rescue and you are a 501c3, you depend upon the donation. So you want to make sure that those donations are going to come to you, not to the other rescue in the area. But there are so many ways to work around it, and there's grants and there's everything else. My biggest issue has always been if you lose sight of the prize, and the prize is rescuing the animal, and making certain that animal is safe and nurtured and cared for, then why are you in the business to begin with? If you want to just be complaining all the time. So this seems to be a real problem. So I would love to have your input on this, Gaetan, and and Roman, whoever wants to talk about it first, let me know. Okay.
Roman, the winner.
I I work closely with rescues since 2009 full time, and I worked with a lot of local rescues when I was in Connecticut. The one thing that I recognize is that I see, people in rescue are very passionate of what they do. There's a lot of love and a lot of care involved. So we're not talking about those 99% of people. We're talking about this 1% of people who basically are affecting the 99%. Those people who basically are rescues to gain rather than for service. And I've been a rescue myself. It's a very expensive passion to help dogs. It involves rescuing, scanning, behavior treatment, veterinary care, foster education, adopter education, general education, fostering, feeding, all these things. It's a lot of money that goes into place. Imagine per dog as a rescue, you need $1,000 as a backup. $1,000 per dog. So if you rescue 30 dogs a year, you need $30,000 as a backup to support that system. And I know for much people, it's like, you don't need $1,000 per dog. Well, here are some numbers to consider. Every dog per day costs you money. Food, care, room, space, education, all these things come together. What if the dog has Lyme disease? What if the dog that you just rescued had behavior issues? What if your dog that you rescue has a health condition? The dog doesn't come to rescue because it's a great dog and is super healthy. There's a reason for that. And that costs money to maintain these things. Of course, if you're healthy and you go to the hospital, somebody has to pay the bill for it, so you get charged for it, right? And so we see only rescues make money out of adopting our dogs, and people don't want to pay rescues money for the dogs. They just, why would I pay you $250? I go and get from a breeder for $600 a new dog out of the box.
Right.
Common
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. A new dog. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so
they look at
value.
it as yeah.
There is a value into it. Okay, a dog. It's not really about the dog. There are morals and ethics behind that choice, whether you spend $600 or $250. Mm-hmm. However, there are many rescues out there who do not do good management of their resources. Okay, they don't understand. They don't have the technical logistics in place for them to handle all those things. You need volunteers. You need fundraisers. You need supporters. You need people who give you money for that rescue. You need outreach. There's a whole system in place.
Grant writers.
Exactly. So I made a decision to step away from rescue because I cannot afford it. I paid rescues out of my pocket by making 10% of my general income towards the rescue, towards me. And at that point, I was only limited to have certain amount of dogs in my rescue because I still have to earn money to pay that rescue. And then, if you don't have time to work with those dogs, then the dogs would not be adopted. And if you don't work, you don't have money to support those rescues. So I had to find a golden middle way. How much money can I spend per dog per day, plus going out for work and make money to support that system? And I found out I cannot afford it. It's not that I want to, I cannot afford it, because having 3 dogs in my house, each dog needs 20 minutes on my own personal time to interact with them socially, right? And then they have to go out for potty, and then they have to go out every 3-4 hours for potty training. Plus, you need to train them. Plus, you have to have a personal time per dog. All of a sudden, I ended up being 6 hours with those dogs. And then I had to work for that. Plus, I had family. And I said, I just cannot afford it. Do I have the knowledge to do rescue? Of course I do. Do I have the knowledge to train those dogs? Of course I do. That's my profession. But can I afford to do that actually? No, I can't. It's too much money. I cannot afford it as much as I want. And then people think, having a 501c3 makes you a good rescue. No, it doesn't. The 501c3 it's a tax status. It doesn't say anything about quality. You're not holistic. You're not organic. You're not educated. It doesn't say anything about it other than how you handle your taxes. That's it.
Yeah.
So if somebody spends money on you because you have a 501c3, it's not because he supports you. It's because he wants a tax return money to save money from it. I don't have a 501c3. I rely on donations because of what I do and serve the community and serve rescues. Try to keep low cost access to training for multiple people. And I have people donating half of their sessions. I have an option in my website when you schedule an appointment, you can donate a half session towards pay it forward, and I add another half session on top of it for somebody who doesn't have the money to get help. So that's my way of donating my time, and I have people who donating their money into that time. So we have a two-way system. I offer and they offer, and all of a sudden we have a community help supporting those people who don't have.
Which is the way it should be, because if you donate or you share your services or you work together so that you can share to make certain that the health and the well-being of that animal is intact, isn't that the goal? Isn't that what we want? So why do we argue? I don't get it. What's the purpose of the arguing?
The arguing is the frustration. I would call it in a dog term, redirected aggression. So I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because all this bad world do so much bad things into dogs.
Yeah.
But I cannot reach those people who are really angry towards, because those people do not exist physically. They are people who are surrenders. I don't have access to them. And I see this misery. So I get overwhelmed with this misery. I'm not saying me personally, I'm just a fictional person, right? And then I redirect that aggression to whoever I can reach. So at that point, it's a rescue who made a mistake or didn't make a mistake, and some other rescue who said this person did a mistake or that rescue made a mistake, even if he didn't do that mistake or nobody really knows about it. And I direct my frustration and add my frustration on top of that argument as the third person observer who has no clue either way what's right and what's wrong. So I'm becoming the judge, and I'm going vicious after you because you are a representative of one of those people I hate. Even if you have no clue about it, and you even don't even
or may not have even met them, or it may not have even met them and don't know a thing about them.
It becomes a persona. That rescue becomes the representative of who I hate, and personalize that person. Make sense? So it's an emotional status. It's an emotional mindset. It's frustration. It's anger. And I do appreciate all those people for holding on to that, trying to help and pray. But you guys, you have to direct your aggression not towards any direction. You have to heal it by being part of the rescue system. You want
be part of the solution. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
I've been a target in the past, multiple years ago, because of a family dispute, right? And that family dispute ended up going public. And all of a sudden, people who I never worked with, I had no clue where they lived, they didn't even live in the same state, attack me in person of how I am a dog abuser and put my family in danger. Like, what? Yeah, to the point that I had to close my business for people who had no clue what this situation was actually about. It was basically a divorce for personal disagreements, right? And somebody said something, and then the other one chimed in, and then it went viral because everybody chimes in on that stuff. And all of a sudden, I have lose my business, which I can't tell you the numbers, $150,000 a year, which 30% of those went into rescue to support. That's a lot of money. And I
Wow.
had to pay my overhead costs. It's a lot of expenses. You just have run a business. You have expenses, right? You have
Right.
support. And that went down to zero. Well, I appreciate those guys because it made me who I am now, and I learned from it.
Right.
But
Right.
if we look at into rescues, those rescues don't have those funds, don't have those lawyers on hand, because a lawyer costs a lot of money to defend you. And we have this
Exactly.
formation here. People come up with ideas and lie about things they have no clue about. They don't understand that they're responsible for what they're saying, and a legal action against them can have a lot of costs. Because if you blame me of doing something which is not the reality and you go public with it, well, I can hire a lawyer and you have to pay for it, for my costs, your lawyer costs, and whatever this formation fee comes in because of loss of earnings, because of your discrimination or your behavior. So you are responsible even if you're social, even if you're on Facebook and you're hiding yourself behind the keyboard, you are responsible
The keyboard
as much.
warriors is what I call them.
Right.
Yeah.
As I'm responsible as a dog trainer, if I give advice to somebody and he takes it the wrong way, I'm responsible too. I shouldn't say it if I knew this person wouldn't handle it.
Right. Right. And you know what? There is so much misinformation that goes out as well too. So let's think about a scenario here. Let's say, for instance, a rescue goes ahead and they rescue a dog, and somehow something happens with the dog and misinformation gets out that the dog was hurt because of that rescue, or it was mistreated. Or I can recall a time when there was one of the famous guys, I'm not going to mention his name on the show, but he was videotaped, and there was a dog that hit a cone around his neck, and he just merely pushed the dog off of his lap while he was doing the interview, and right away everybody came and he abused the dog. Well, he almost lost his business, lost his home, everything, because everyone came after him and looked at him. The perception was wrong. But the rescues were the ones that came forward and said, this guy's got to lose his job. He's got to lose his business. They formed a movement. It was like social media uproar, like a mob mentality. Let's get rid of him. He's no good. And they started attacking him personally as well. And then not only that, attacking his family. And it just became a nightmare. So he ended up having to hire an attorney. And you're right. You're right. It's very expensive to hire an attorney. And when you have to resort to hiring an attorney, you must feel pretty right in your own shoes to know that what you have done is nothing wrong, and you're able to prove that you haven't done anything wrong if you're going to take legal action, because it can be average is like $15,000 just for a defamation or a defamation of character. That's $15,000 right there. So when you get into that position, you think to yourself, why would a rescue go on social media, which is 90% of where it is? Why would they go on social media, and why would they try and defame someone or reduce them or get them to lose their business? For what purpose, if we're all in this together, knowing full well that they could be exposed and there could be a problem? Why would they do that? So I'm going to ask
Well,
Gaetan that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will come back to the point of Roman saying the choice between a rescue dog and a brand new dog out of the puppy mill. And this is an attitude of object, trading object. And if you look at a dog or any animal and you look at that as an object, your mentality is different than if you look at a living being who need cares. And that's the first problem we see. People look at dog as an object of property, and other people look at the dog like a living being, a conscious being, something which they interact with at the conscious level. Talk to the dog, move, and react, emotion, pleasure, joy, and so on and so forth with the dog. And that's one of the key separation between people there. The other separation I see is my way is the best, your way
Yep.
is the wrong way, and if you don't follow my way, it's hell for you. And
You're right.
yeah, so it's a discussion sometime on theory of how to do or deal with dogs. The third point, which is a very very common point, is, oh, he did that. What that mean? Um, I'll share an anecdote which is not related to animal but related to human being. I did a documentary on a what do you call it, a wise woman, giving, how you say that, like midwife,
Uh-huh.
the woman, a helping woman to give birth at her home. So it was presented on national television. I got a call. Hey, what have you done? She was in labor for 6 hours. What? That was not the case. There was no labor for 6 hours. Everything went very well, and nobody said ever that she was in labor for 6 hours. And out of the blues, this person called me and said, "Oh, she was in labor for 6 hours. Are you crazy? What have you done? This is stupid," and so on and so forth. So people don't look or do not understand what they look at, and judge on the appearance of what they think they know or what they think they understand. And the fourth point, with and we have an era of 4 years or 4.5 years of complete disinformation and complete propaganda at every level. And the key element there is nobody or very few people went and check the source of the information or the reference to the information.
Right. Right.
And they say, "Oh, this guy said that." I would like to meet the guy who started the movement, quote unquote, without a single letter, that I will not say what the letter is. But I'm sure this guy is a kid of 17, 18 years old, and he started a prank, and he creates some prediction which are so radically insane that people buy it. And it's really, I will do more and see how far I can go with that.
Right. Right.
And this is people not trying to understand what happened and not going to the source of information. Okay.
Exactly.
They say that
Exactly.
this and that. Okay. Did you read the law? No, but my friend told me, or this and so said so. No, read the
Right.
law, then we'll talk about it. And the judgment on the prejudice is always based on misunderstanding. To first of all, if you care for animal, everybody care for animal. You have this in common. So put aside with your difference, look at for the well-being of the animal, and then cooperate. Not say, "Oh, you doing the wrong way. I have a better way. I'm smarter than you." No, that's will never work. Never
Right.
work. So that's my take on it.
Okay. And with boy, I totally went blank, folks. This is the beauty of live TV. There's no prompters and there's no script, and Roman's falling asleep.
No, no, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
processing.
Kathy, I have something for you.
What?
God love you.
Okay. Okay. No, I wanted to talk about your point in particular about the judgment and the perception and everything else. That is probably the number one biggest fault that there is about social media. People jump on a bandwagon based on what other people put out there, and they perceive it to be true because somebody said it was.
Mhm.
Or they pull something off of the internet and they post it and say, yeah, this was about so, and it could be totally false. There are so many false websites, so
Yeah.
they'll do that. But rather than finding out, wait a minute, if somebody was saying something bad about you, and I would listen to it. Oh no, Gaetan wouldn't do that, but well, maybe he would. And if I didn't go and ask you directly, then shame on me. I
Mhm.
need to go directly to the source. We
Yep.
don't need to do that with Roman because we already know he's perfect. So he could never do anything wrong, right, Roman?
Absolutely.
Well, you just accused me for sleeping. I took a screenshot of that.
He was calling his attorney.
Disformation.
Yeah,
He was sleeping
misinformation.
during the show. He's fired.
False impression.
Yeah, right.
While I'm watching you guys on video here, making sure I take the screenshots.
Oh,
Wait, which camera are we looking? Camera 1 or camera
yeah,
3?
yeah. So anyway, now we're at this point where I don't know how to advise, and one of the purposes of our show is to give people solutions and help them through these troubled times. And when I look at what has happened in my own area right now here, and I see this anger and escalation and bitterness and misinformation and slander and things that are going on, I'm so sickened and disheartened over it. Especially at my age, I don't really want to get involved with it, so I totally won't engage. But those that are engaging, I want to say to them, know the facts, folks. Validate what you're
Mhm.
putting out there. Make
Mhm.
certain that you know that if you put something harmful out there about somebody else or about an organization and it isn't true and you don't know it to be true, you don't have the actual real facts, you could destroy that person. You
Mhm.
could hurt them physically, emotionally, financially.
Mhm.
You could ruin their business. You can do a lot of things unintentionally. But if you're out there and you're doing it, then you do have the intent because you put it down. And know that the second that you do, other people may follow, and either they're one of two things. They're going to either agree with you or they're not going to agree with you. If they don't agree with you, then you're going to argue back and say, well, here's why I think it's right. And you're going to wait for other people to come and join the bandwagon with you. And it starts to
Mhm.
mushroom. And before you know it, you've got this momentum going where you're going to start this movement and you're going to get them. You're just going to get them. You're just going to get. And why? What is the purpose? Help me, somebody, understand what
There
is the
is
purpose.
um, there is I don't know how to call the term right now. It's either or. We are in a time of either or. You're either there or here. It's black or white. You're either with me or against me. You're either a friend or enemy. There is no in between thing right now. So that the general energy around that affects us in person, affects how we see the environment, affects how the environment proceeds to us. We just have to make all the decisions that, I am who I am and I do what I have to do based on my conscious decision.
Hmm.
Morals, ethics, education, applications, understanding of the concept, all these things fall together. That's why my support to the rescue is built in classes so people, rescues, and individuals, and fosterers and adopters know what to do. Because that's the only thing I can do. Is it wrong? Maybe. Is it right? Maybe. But that's what I know, and that's what works for me, and that's what I share. I can blame others who do differently and get focused and focus my energy on what others people do wrong, or I focus my energy on what I do right and stick
Right.
to that
Yeah.
because that's my passion. And if I have a passion to something, that I start creating a movement around my passion. I start being a creator, and that's being created. Make sense? At the
Right.
same time, what we need to look for is there are so many people out there who do not know. They are misguided, misinformation out there because nobody really helps them.
Hmm.
So instead of blaming other rescues, it says, you know what, you don't know what to do. I can blame you for being wrong, or I show you a way out. And so
Right.
that's why I do classes. And if somebody's interested, I have a mailing list. You guys can join
Yeah. I'm.
and
I'm
get
gonna. Yeah.
yeah, and you
I'm gonna.
guys can update it and know when the next classes are. So you can join as low cost as possible.
Mhm.
Okay, it's inexpensive to learn from the right source. I already down how I call it screen down the information to evaluate information so you guys know what to do with these things. Okay, and what does it come to evaluating a dog in a shelter? How do I evaluate the rescue I'm adopting out from? How do I evaluate a foster who's capable of taking in my rescues? How do I educate that foster being part of my rescue system? How can I make the foster or the adopter into that foster system? How do I have a backup foster? How do I set a foster to become a main foster so I can help other fosters? Like
Exactly.
a foster coordinator, right? So we have a rescue, we have a foster coordinator, we have an adoption coordinator, we have a medical coordinator, we have a feeding coordinator, we have a behavior coordinator, and these are all volunteers. You can set it up.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I totally, and the other thing that I think of too is, yeah, there's no reason why you can't work together. But even if you don't want to work together, let's say, for instance, that you're a rescue or you're an organization that works with animals, and you've received a contract, and that contract equates to money, and that allows you to do other services that bring in some good things for the community. It's just like the Academy Awards. We don't see people going and they go up there and they won the award, and you don't say, they didn't deserve it. Get them off the stage. They're no good. You know what they did 2 weeks ago? You know what they did 10 years ago when they were 15 years old? They shouldn't have had this. They shouldn't have had that. They don't deserve it. You don't see any of that. You see collaboration and people happy that somebody won this award. Everyone knows someone is going to get that award. Someone is going to get it. So rather than fighting amongst each other, you're absolutely right. If you have systems in place where everyone knows here's the needs that are necessary, and you work together, it's almost like a Gideon's knot. You have to find a way to get through there, knowing that it's very complicated. There is no one solution to anything, but a combination of some solutions that can come up with a cohesive plan that you can put to the test to see if it actually works might require a lot of people to be involved with it. Don't fight it, work with it, support it, give it a
right.
chance, move
Mhm.
forward.
Well, I see also one thing that shelters don't recognize: how much it really costs per dog per day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a librarian in New York library, I don't remember which library exactly it is, volunteered to gather together information that's out there in the internet all over the country. And in 2014 or 15, I remember, I have still the email, he came up with a number based on that research that says, in average, in US, a dog per day in the shelter for the first 13 days of his residence in that shelter costs $75 a day. Now I take those numbers and put them together and come to another number. How much does it cost me if I'm a rescue having that dog that costs $75 at the shelter, having it foster care? And how much can a shelter support me as a rescue to get that dog out of the shelter? I think the shelter should invest in foster care. I think the shelter should invest in rescues that support that shelter. The shelter, the rescue are one family. It's one system.
It should be.
The,
It should be, but
right?
it's
And
not,
then,
which is a shame.
well, because all this system is not regulated by anyone. It's kind of like we have not regulated hospitals. You come in as a patient and you have a health issue because I don't perceive you as a real worth it. I'm going to kill you because you just grabbed one of your doctors. And I'm going to kill you for it. Like, you go in with a need and you get killed because you have that need, because the system that you went into is to help you with that need. And now the rescues, we blame the rescues for not being able to care for those dogs. It's the whole system is wrong, and we have to change that system. And we have to do one step at a time ourselves. First, you can support the rescue that is honest and how you call it, transparent about their expenses. Where do I invest? How much money did I get in, and how much money did I get out? How many dogs did I get in? How many dogs were adopted? How many percentage were returned? How many of those returns were behavior issues? How much do I invest in behavior modification and assessment? How much do I screen my volunteers and my adopters? If I don't have that information, I'm not giving my penny to anyone. Because we have to understand that your money is what makes those people survive that are doing damage to the rescues.
Well, don't you think that that's what it is? You're talking about transparency and accountability, and it really has to be, and there has to be a good reporting system. on what you're doing, especially if you're working in an entire system that is there for the purpose of taking care of the animals, whether it includes transport, whether it includes foster, whether it includes behavior, whatever it is, you want to make certain that you've got a network of valuable resources that you can depend upon when a crisis occurs. If you isolate yourself and you're the only one, and mine is the only one that can do it, my rescue is the only one that can get this done because all of you other rescues are doing it wrong, like Gaetan said. As if you're looking at that, then you're missing out on so many other areas, and that's why there's such separation and there's such jealousy. I think it's a jealousy thing in a lot of ways. How come you got it and I didn't get it? How come you got money? How come you got the grant and I didn't get it? How come you got a contract and I didn't get it? I do the same thing you do. Why wouldn't I get it? I'm sorry, they're mowing out here.
This is unfortunate. This is unfortunately. I mean, I know we're speaking to the choir. We're talking to the choir here, but I feel we have to see when people want to help dogs, they wanted to do it their way, and I recognize over the years that all these people who are into rescue have their personal experiences, traumatic experience. They don't really like people. They like dogs. They have been through abusive relationships. They have been abused as people themselves. All those people or most of them are in rescue, have personal experience and empathize with those dogs in rescue individually. That neglect, that trauma, that domestic violence, that abuse, and they resonate with it, and now they become passionate about it. So that anger that sits in them and it's not expressed, it's being channeled through those rescues where they want to help themselves. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not doing a psychoanalysis. That's my own perceptions. Don't take it or leave it with a grain of salt, whatever you call it. And I just want you to make aware of that if you're passionate about rescue, ask yourself what's in for you. Why do you do that? Is it really for the dogs, or you just to achieve something for yourself? Feel good, or do something for the community. What happened if that community doesn't accept you of who you are? Would you stop rescuing, or will you continue rescuing? What if that dog that you just rescued doesn't end up and you feel betrayed for that dog, that you invested your love and your devotion, and that dog turns against you? What do we do then? Do you still love that dog? Will you still be passionate about it? So these questions that will come up, if you really want to work in rescue, these are things you will have to be confronted. If you have to put that dog down because that dog has a low quality of life, that everything that you put into place didn't work out, and I'm not saying you didn't have the money to do it. You have the money, you have resources, but the quality of life of that dog is killing himself because he's mutilating himself and he's put everybody in danger. What would be your call? Do you have the guts and the emotional self-control to make that call? Will you take the hit for it from other rescues saying, I did what I did wrong? I don't care about your opinion because you don't know what I did. Will you take
And that's
it
what
personally?
happens. That's what happens. They'll come after him specifically for that purpose. Yeah.
Right?
Go
if
ahead.
you go
I'm sorry.
social with your ideas, you get social feedback. You cannot handle that social feedback, you will not be able to do rescue because you need that social feedback. You need those social exposure of that dog. You need to know how to handle social media. So if you go naked in the market, everybody will point the finger on you. Can you handle it? But naked, in that case, I don't mean really physically naked, but your pure self, who you really are in rescue.
Authentic.
What is your
You're authentic.
specialty? Your authenticity is you're naked. Be naked out there.
Right.
Show who you really are, and don't let people kind of tell you what to do and you kind of go with the wind, because that's not service to rescue, that's service to self. And that's not what rescue is.
Right. And you know what, too? I think that my advice, thanks for bringing that up, Roman, because I think what my advice would be to everybody is don't engage in the nonsense unless you know the real truth. You may look at it, you may call someone out on it, but just don't even engage. That negative energy just brings you down, and it's going to bring everybody else down that is trying to make it right. And the thing that I really get more upset about is the pouncing. It's like we want to take this person down. Let's bring them down. They did this. They did that. Oh, they had a hair on their nose. They had a pimple. They had a booger hanging. They whatever.
There's
They want to
studies done
just.
of that.
they, I know there's studies. You know what I mean? It's like they want to just pick away at it. But getting back to the case that you just said, Roman, that's right. A rescue has to make a decision. A person has to make a decision about their own animals and their own animals and their own rescue. I get that. If they are transparent and they let that out there and they let people know, hey, unfortunately, I had to let them down, the questions come in, well, why didn't you? Why didn't you do this instead? Why didn't you get them wheels for their back legs? Why did you put them down? How could you have done that? Oh, my God, it's the end of the world. You're a bad rescue. You shouldn't deserve to be in rescue. You should get out, yada, yada. And everybody comes down on them. And it's hurtful. Because as you said, it's difficult to be a rescue. It's difficult to care for animals, and it's God only knows it's difficult when they have to be euthanized for health reasons or for physical impairments or something. It breaks everyone's heart. You can't deal with it. It's the empathetic side. But when you take it personally and it becomes your own personal mission to put someone else down to make you look better, you're not a rescue. I'm sorry, you're not, and you don't deserve to be a rescue. So keep your eye on the prize. The prize is saving the animals, and that's it. So what were you going to say, Roman?
There's this little secret. I mean, secret. I don't know how secret it is. So the social media platforms have an algorithm. They connect dots together. So somebody says something about you, you automatically be notified on Facebook. Questions: do you respond on that? Yes or no? The algorithm waits you to do the response and see if that is something you want to interact with or not. As soon as you click that button, all the friends and families that are connected to that algorithm will get notified. So you basically spread the misinformation by responding on that.
Right.
What you can do is you can report it on Facebook. All you have to do is click that button other than responding to that and make that a dispute, a Facebook dispute. And dispute it on Facebook. This is a misinformation, and you can take screenshots of that and open a claim. And then Facebook will take it down. Not only that, it will take all those misinformation, it sucks it away.
That's right. That's right.
So
but unfortunately,
have management, you have to kind of act upon it without being upset and frustrated and start responding on this, going into a war on Facebook or something, the social medias.
Yeah, but unfortunately, what happens now is that Facebook is at a point where they've got so many objections, especially with all the political wahoo that's going on. So if you do want to stop it, you have to go legal. You have to take legal action, which is very costly. And that really is a shame because of social media. And I realize it's only a small platform, but it's got a very big voice. Social media does. I'm sorry, Gaetan, you got something. Go ahead.
There's a step before going to the attorney. With social media, somebody posted that I was a violent person out of the blues like that. So I report the posting to Facebook, and I said this is misinformation, and Facebook, shut the account of the person because it was not the first case that person was spreading misinformation about people around for no reason, and Facebook shut down that. The first step is to report that to Facebook. The second step is don't argue. Don't get in the game of no, I don't do it, because it's just bring fire, oil to the fire. It's just making the whole thing more and more and more. And on the top of all that, never attack the other person. So you said that to me, but you are so this and that. This is like the worst situation where there's no end to it. And this is the point where, okay, now you need to have an attorney, because if you get in the game of that negativity, it's a vicious circle, and you don't get it. You will not get out of it without injury, without being damaged in your reputation. So first thing is tell Facebook this is misinformation. This information is not accurate, and they will take something about it. I hope you don't hear my phone, because
no. Okay.
I have silenced my phone, but on the computer they're still in whatever.
Okay. Well, I think we normally we have a show with a lot of graphics and everything else, but I do want to say at the end here before we do anything,
I
let me
have to
this over.
go. I have a client.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, with this, this is how to distinguish true versus phony animal rescue groups, and I'm going to put this in the comments so that everybody will have it. Only because what I like about this one is it gives. Let me do this real quick here. What it does is it gives people information about if you are in animal rescue and you don't work with other animal rescues and you don't keep them wait, let me go down here a second. It says cooperation. True rescue groups coordinate with other rescue groups and animal shelters. They realize that the cause of saving animal lives is universal and can be shared by all. They are not interested in who gets the credit for saving animals. They simply want to assure the animals are saved regardless of who gets the recognition. Now, of course, there's a lot of different points on here, but that particular one just stuck with me. And this whole thing, folks, came to fruition. Oh boy,
That
yeah, right. That,
fruition.
yeah, just based on personal experience, because it's been what 58 years that I've been involved in animal welfare, and when I come to this time of my life where I should be enjoying it and being able to work with the animal rescues and the shelters and that, I'm finding that it's difficult. It's difficult to find one that you trust, that you feel good about. It would be great if communities would come together, and that's all I can say. And being part of the social media accountability movement, and actually part of a real movement, we ask people to validate. Please validate. Document first, validate second, and then come to a recourse. What are you going to do about it once you have this information? Are you going to try and hurt somebody, or are you going to try and resolve it? So resolve it, people. Don't try and put an argument and put people together working against each other. Life is too short, and again, keep your eye on the prize, which is saving lives. And Roman, for you now, what do you want to say?
I want to say, if you really want to do rescue and support the rescue community, you have so many options. Option number one, become a foster for a reputable rescue. Option number two, if you want to be a rescue and you want to be independent, maybe you want to join in a group of rescues, national rescues. You can be a fraction of it. Yes, you will be independent, and yes, you will have your own saying, but you're belonging to a group and you have this group support. If you are nothing of that and you just want to be kind of a person who wants to help things, well, how about you share those dogs who are for adoption? How about you share those people when they do a fundraiser? How about you share their website? How about you like that page and leave a good comment because you have a personal experience with that rescue? So if you don't do nothing about that, the only thing you reply in stupid comments, then you shouldn't be calling yourself a rescue or a rescue support,
Right.
because you're not, or you create this drama.
And the other thing too is, the energy that you guys put out to the rescue warriors, that you're there typing away and I'm going to get that person. Take that same energy and put that into saving an animal.
Mhm.
Take that energy and picking up the phone and saying, hey, I need your help. Can we work together on this project? Hey, can we do this together? And don't worry about who has what kind of who's doing what wrong. How about looking at what they're doing right and how you can tap into that and how you can work together? Okay, what's for you now? Gaetan, this is the end. We're saying bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sorry for the interruption. You know what's going on, and I got called. So take what you know and share it, and keep in mind that you're there to help animals, not to fight with people.
Very good. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for the show. Thank you
you,
for
Roman. Thank
watching.
you, Kathy.
Thank you for being part of our world. And rescues, I wish you well. Wish you well. Bye.
Bye-bye.
God bless you.